Hello and welcome to the Chatty Corner, where we talk about our experiences as a modern woke American woman.
Today, you're listening to episode 6 of our podcast.
My name is Passion, I'm the hostess.
My name is Pachia, and I am the co-host.
In one of our last episodes we created, we talked about New Year's resolution, and if you haven't checked it out yet, then stop playing and watch episode 5 right now. Anyways, for those who have, then stay tuned to today's topic and put it on your New Year's resolution goals list because we're talking about setting boundaries. Now, I understand that setting boundaries are not as easy as they sound by telling someone, hey, yo, I don't like your joke. Maybe let's not bring racist jokes into like the circle because that's not cool. Something like that. But today, Patricia and I are actually going to be talking about our personal experiences with setting boundaries. And I'm going to start off, when did you feel like you had to create boundaries? And that goes between anything too. So relationships, family, friends, workspaces. You can go like anywhere from this as long as just another human being, I guess. Yeah.
I think for me, it definitely started with my family. I had to think about it for a second. Mm-hmm. But definitely my family. That was when I first started to build like my own boundaries because, like, to be honest, my parents don't have any boundaries because they're like, I made you into who you are. I birthed you. You're my being, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, no, first of all, I feel like I raised myself.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you're talking about. And it's always been just with my family because of the fact that like my parents didn't have boundaries, it made me feel like I had to do things for people that I didn't have to do. Mm-hmm. And so although I set boundaries with my parents, to be my own like individual, like I never set boundaries with other people in relationships until literally this year in my current relationship. Not this year, in 2021.
I don't blame you. Is this year? It's only been 4 or 5 days. From when we're recording right now, it's only been 4 or 5 days.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Because me and my fiance have been together for almost 1 year, and this whole year, since the beginning, like I've built very clear boundaries on what I'm comfortable with and what I'm not.
Yeah.
And that was definitely a first for me. It feels like I'm being really stingy and mean and selfish, but he never took it like that, and he respected my boundaries, and I'm really glad that someone respected my boundaries because I would never have known that like what I want mattered.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely agreed because I've to try to create boundaries with my family as well, and that's with my siblings, my parents, and just any other person that's in just my family in general. It's really hard, and I find that making boundaries with your family members is like almost it almost feels like agony because it's like I don't want to hurt their feelings because they're used to the habit of like me doing so many things for them that once I said no, like they're just kind of like, whoa, like what's wrong with you? But it's like, no, for the longest time I never want to do this.
Yeah,
but it's like
you never asked how I felt about doing it.
Yeah, and then now that I said no now because I finally came with the courage, it's like you think like I'm being rude and I'm being mean. Mm-hmm. And so I think those are the tough conversations that need to be said. You usually never do get to be said. I hate to say that, but it's because I've been on the other side before. I've had a boundary built on me, which was the next question is that have I ever had anyone build a boundary around me? And I have. And it was the fact that my sister felt like I kept talking too much about my ex, right? And she didn't like that because she was like, it's the same shit. It's blah, blah, blah. I'm tired of hearing it. And it's a lot because you're unloading a lot. And I was just kind of like, well, geez, you don't have to be a bitch. She's like, no, I'm not. She was like, no, I'm not. Like, you're really annoying. I couldn't take it. I was so hurt But it's like, but here's the thing though, I don't think she would have said it any better, because I don't think I would have gotten the message. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And even if she was like, Passion, I know you want to like talk about him. If she said nice, I still feel like I still feel it would have like walked over it, because I don't hear it. You know, if that makes sense. So like it really depends on the person, and there is a right way of setting boundaries, but we'll get to that later. But it's sometimes with family it is a different tone, and I guess depending too with your significant other. There is a different tone than a professional setting.
I think with boundaries, it's harder for me to like get a grasp or understanding of boundary, because I'm like pretty free flowing.
Yeah.
I don't really mind people doing dumb shit, like as long as I'm not involved. Most of the time, like, well, I mean, I'm not really.
I think that's what it comes from, though. It's not what they're doing around you; it's what they're doing to you. That's why you need to create the boundaries, though. Yeah.
It's so interesting because, like, it may be because I surround myself with people who aren't annoying or do things that I don't particularly dislike, and so to me, when people are like, "Oh, you want to hang out?" I'm like, "Yeah, like let's hang out," because they ask a certain amount of times. Like, you know, they already know their own boundaries.
Yeah, for the amount of times you've told them, oh, no, like, I can't go out, stuff like that, or?
That, but also that, like, the people I hang out with, like, have their own boundaries of what's appropriate, you know? And so I feel like I don't really have to implement that much boundary, because, like, when I think about boundaries, I think a lot about relationship for me. Like, huge on the sex. Like, huge on setting boundaries on sex. Like, that was the most, like, outside of family, that was the other thing that was, like, really prominent that I had to set boundaries on.
Yeah, no, it's definitely in the same area, too. But but there are very, like, minor ones to it. It's kind of like what you mentioned, where it's like, you know, as a person, you should get the hint already without having to finalize, like, I don't like it when you do this, so therefore, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Now, with a person who knows their social cues, when a person already gives you that hint of, not rejection, but a hint of, like, oh, she don't want to talk about it anymore, you're just kind of, okay, I get it, you know? Now, maybe you never had to, you know, put it out there, like, don't do this, because I feel uncomfortable, but you probably had a strong sense with the people you're around with, where you're like, yeah, you know, when you have that awkward, like, yeah, they're probably like, oh, but she doesn't like that. We know that. You know, like, you probably have a pretty good people who surround you that understand how you are as a person, so they'll probably quit. But have you ever had someone who didn't get it, period, and you were just like,
this guy at work, where I used to work, he was new, and he talks a lot to anybody.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, conversation over, like, stop. And he would just, like, keep going. And I'm like, yeah. And, like, he would not get it. Oh. And I'm like, I have to work. You have to work. Like, when are you going to stop talking to me? I'm so tired of it.
I'm
like,
getting
please.
secondhand embarrassment.
Because you were the talker, or because... or the other way around?
I've been both.
You've been both?
Yeah. I've been both, where I was kind of, can this person shut the fuck up? But also the person who was like, okay, maybe I should stop and just walk away. Yeah. I've had that. But luckily not as often as probably that person has, but maybe I have like once in my lifetime where I was kind of like, okay, Patrick, you should stop. Yeah. But it was only towards a group of people that I was trying so hard to create conversation. Right? Like,
I feel like the thing with like boundaries is it's good for you, right? Like, to create boundaries so that you're comfortable in your environment. But sometimes, like, in terms of like conversation, like, you really want to know somebody, talk to somebody, and they don't want to, or like it's like really sad, right? Because like you want like, I don't know what I'm trying to convey. It's just, like, sometimes I feel like people make boundaries, like an excuse almost. Not really an excuse, because I get it if you're not comfortable. But then, like, if you straight up don't want to hang out, just tell me it's your boundary, but they don't have to be rude about it. Some people are really rude about their boundaries, I guess.
Yes. And I think that comes around to how to do it correctly, I guess. And I think a lot of people, and I see what you mean. I think, like, you're stating that there are some people who use it wrong. In the wrong way. And so that is actually one of the things I was actually confused for the longest time, because it's like, I think it has to come with the person themselves who had boundaries set on them to really understand, to reflect and think, was I too much? Was I like, was I really like that? You know, and for them to really reflect on that, and for the mature thing to do is to communicate that to that person, be like, hey, I'm so sorry that I was like that, but like, was I really like that? Or like, why did you do that? Why did you say that? Just having those communication, like the conversations, because as a person who wants to work on themselves or whatever, and who wants to be a better human being, they would communicate that, and it's really hard because you don't want to face that fact and actually be criticized in front of your face, right? I feel like with those things, I think that would actually help people understand if the person who set the boundary is actually having good intentions or not. That's the only way how you find out, to be honest, because unless if you have good intuition, you know the person is actually like just doesn't like you. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you can tell. Sometimes you can tell if someone really doesn't like you. They'll give you that, like, that look. But and if they don't, and you know they don't like you when they don't like nothing about you. Now, if they set a boundary, but they were like, but we can still be friends, and still does everything with you, that comes from good intentions.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly what I was saying. You put it like perfectly, because it's like
sorry.
It's like, yeah, like your friends will set you boundaries with you, and you're like, okay, I totally get it. But some people set boundaries with you, and they want to cut off all ties. Like, is that really a boundary, or is that just the ending of a relationship?
That's ending of a relationship, and that person definitely, like you said, it was an excuse. But I don't know. I have like a feeling about that too. It's like, that's like a soft rejection, I think, and a soft let go, because I think in one of those things, it's really hard to let go of people and to burn bridges and cut things off. But at the same time, there are reasons to why people walk away. I've had people walk away in my life, and I didn't put it against them, because I had the self-reflection, because you and I have the maturity to do that. Self-reflect and be like, holy shit, like, I was that, like, I freaking, like, was too much. But at the same time, we shouldn't be beating ourselves about that, and if people go, they go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
They go.
They go, and it's like, if they come back, maybe they're ready to have you again. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Sometimes when you don't like a specific dish, you're kind of like, ugh, bad experience. But you tried a different type of dish, which I'm metaphorically saying the new phase of you, which is a new different dish from the old one. Maybe they like the new you. Maybe they like this new dish. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, if you metaphorically think of it that way, maybe they're ready to have you again, because it's like, maybe they became a better person while you became a better person. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because I know ultimately I can vouch for myself saying that I was not a good person. Like, I was not in a good mindset whenever these people did let me go. And of course, like, I do hold... I not saying I do now, but I'm saying I did back then. Did hold a lot of resentment, because it's like, I didn't even see nothing I did that was wrong. Mm-hmm. But that's because I grew and analyzed from when I was coming from, and it was like, oh shit, like, Passion, you ain't all that either. You know, it's like, you realize that you were also part of the problem, but they also had their problems. And like they said, it takes two people to make a toxic relationship. And so, and it comes down to that. It's like, I believe that in this case, which I'm so glad you brought up, because because a lot of people will probably think like, wait, it doesn't make sense. Like, how do you do that? Honestly, boundaries are just set rules in a relationship, not to cut off, only to set a boundary for a rule in a relationship that you still want to maintain. That's all I have to say about that. Because to me, when my sister, for example, set that boundary on me, we're still sisters. We still talk about everything. But she was like, if you're talking about your sorry heartbreak, we're not gonna talk about that. I'm done. But you can talk about anything else. And I was just like, okay, like I get it. You know, even if I was so heartbroken she said it, I think I got used to it and I was like, okay, I totally get it. And it's the same thing. I think when I set a boundary with a friend, I didn't tell her necessarily, but I made that space where it's like, well, I'm busy and I'm doing stuff. She understood it. We didn't have to have that conversation because she was like, no, I get it. And I think those are the best kind of relationships because you're just kind of like, okay, we read each other's mind. We don't have to have that awkward conversation. Yeah. Like she got it. You know what I mean? And with that, if you guys wondering why I made those boundaries was because, I mean, maybe she may not know why I wanted to give us space, but she understood that I needed space, so she allowed me it. You know what I'm saying? But I created that space because her sarcasm wasn't sarcasm to me. It was insults. She was insulting me, even if she was being sarcastic. And so I took it as, okay, I can't handle your personality of you being like tough, quote unquote tough love. So I'm gonna walk away for a little bit, and I'm be like, okay, I'm gonna set aside for a little bit. And then when we do hit each other up once in a great while, which I really like, and I like that distance, and then I love her, and she knows that, and I think she has created a boundary for me before, which is really silently, which was like, you're so emotional. She doesn't like it when I'm emotional or I take things to heart. So she kind of goes, okay, well, I have to go. And to me, I'm just kind of like, that's fine. Because maybe we just can't be, I guess, like, too, I don't know. I guess we just can't be too much around each other. You know, sometimes you can't be around a person so much because you're just kind of like, I guess I can't really stand you that much. But I like it when we're at this level of friendship, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's totally fine to have that level of friendship with each other, because not everyone needs to be like your butt buddy.
Like butt buddies. Yeah. I get it. Yeah. So have you actually, or do you notice, I guess it's more like noticing, right? If if there was any boundaries against you or put on you, not against you. I shouldn't say against you guys, it's put on you. Yeah,
boundaries put on me.
Yeah.
Well, because the only person I talk to nowadays is Alex. Let's talk about me and Alex.
No, and it's totally okay. Yeah.
Whenever I start saying a lot of stuff, or just the other night, I was being really annoying, and he was like, "Okay, you can stop now. It's ready for bed." And then I was like, you know what? You're right. But I was like a little upset because he used to get really upset also whenever I would be like, oh, okay, I get you're happy, but I don't have the energy right now to
things like that.
Yeah. I would be like, oh, I don't have energy right now to accommodate you.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to get really upset, but nowadays we can be like, I don't have the energy right now, and we're like, oh, okay, I know that's a boundary that has been set. You can't handle my energy right now. I'll go divert it somewhere else.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that saves a lot of arguments. Because you're just like, okay, geez, be a sourpuss when I'm trying to have a good day. But it's no, it's kind of no, I'm not mad because of you. I had a bad day at work, and I just need to be I need to unload this, right? And you're just like, well, I had a good fucking day, but okay, but he's kind of I don't want to put you down because you're at a good high. Mm-hmm. I'm just really low. So if you can, put that somewhere else, maybe you can go do stuff, but I can do this on my own. You know what I mean? Because I can tell you this now, that is something that Justin and I haven't worked on yet. It's so it's always me stressed out about something, and then he's like, yeah, I'm so excited to see you, but I'm like, I don't want no kisses, no hugging, because hugs are now. I just need some cuddles, and I just want to be freaking angry. Now you need to help me solve this. Mm-hmm. And he's just kind of shit. He's like, I had a good day. Not anymore, And I think that's one of the things that I tried to explain to him once was sometimes we'll never be in the same like emotions or whatever because we're just like, well, I mean, we live two different worlds. It's okay, you know. So when we come together, like, we need to be able how to work it out, you know. And we're never gonna have a perfect like zen together, you know. And for him, he's kind of like being boys. He told me, so that means if you're sad, I have to be sad, and if you're happy, I have to be happy. I was like, no, dude. I'm just saying, like, just give me the space. And like to him, he's like, okay, to work this out. He's like, because I don't know. He's like, can you please just let me know as soon as you get into the car, like, how are you feeling? Like, so I know not to mess with you or something. I'm like, yeah, like, that's good. So that worked with us, where we were just kind of like, because to him, he's always kind of like in the zone or happy, right? And he's only pissed if it's like something like bad happens or something, you know, which is like rarely. But to me, I'm always on like a downhill stress because like I'm an overthinker and like I'm like stressed with my family. So like when I see him, he's kind of like, are you good? He's like, are you happy? What's happening? Like, you know, you need to give me some thumbs up, middle or bound. And to him, I'm just kind of like, man. And so he's kind of like, okay, he knows like he can be a little happier and like be a little jokester to me. Because when I'm stressed or like I'm like in a deep thought, if he makes a joke around me, I'm like, this is not funny. Yeah. So I like how you brought that up because I think that's a good rule and communication to set within a relationship with anyone, actually. Not just with your significant other. So, have there been other people that you set boundaries for besides your relationship? Like, is there anything else? Or maybe some boundaries you want to set with people that you think about now?
Honestly, I haven't talked to anybody in like a long time. Okay, I'll give you a scenario. We were at my fiance's in-laws' house, and usually, cause like they're really chatty, and like everyone thinks that I'm extroverted, cause like I talk a lot when I want to, and I can bring that energy in if I want. Mm-hmm. But like I'm actually like introverted, and like being around people for more than like 4 hours, that's a long time. Mm-hmm. And, like, or not even 4 hours, just like 2 hours. I'm like, okay, I'm like done. Like if it's a big group of people, I'm just like, I can't do this. Yeah. And I'll just like not like talk. Mm-hmm. Like I'll be there. I'll be there for you. I just won't talk. And people think that like something's wrong. Mm-hmm. Like this was what happened like in Calexico when I went. Is that like my boundary, right? Is that I don't want to talk if I'm tired, and I'm not tired of you. I'm just tired of talking. General, yeah. I'm tired of being around people. It's not like I don't want to be around you, but they like would like, are you okay? Like they would assume like I'm mad or something, and I'm like, no.
You do have an RBF though.
I'm fine. I'm just really tired, and like I can't like get my thoughts going. You know, nothing's working. Like I'm exhausted, and my boundary is to not talk. And I think it's very minimal of me. Like I could be out of there, right? I could be like not wanting to be there at all, but it's like it's not like I don't want to be there. I just would rather not talk, and that's like my boundary that I would put up when I'm tired around people. It's not talk. But a lot of people like assume it's because I'm mad at them, and that's like a boundary that I feel like people need to understand, that it's okay if people don't talk.
Yeah, no, and it's so funny because it's like I have a lot of like introverted friends. One thing about me is I don't like when a person talks as much as me. I don't like it because I feel like I'm competing with them. Yeah,
competing to talk.
Yeah, and that's that was one of the traits why I look in a man too, and I don't like a guy. I like a guy who's more reserved and observant. I hate when a guy talks a lot because I'm just kind of like, ew. I feel like I'm competing with you. Like, I don't like that. And because I need to find a perfect balance. I need someone who's like, who can calm me and me also bring excitement into their lives, right? Talk their ear out. And Justin loves it when I talk. So when I don't talk, he's kind of like, what's wrong? He's like, what's wrong? Are you mad at me? And I'm kind of like, no, I'm just tired. Because I think I ran out of batteries.
Yeah.
You know, but to him, he's kind of like, wow, he's like, it's so weird when you don't talk sometimes and you don't tell me about your day or about drama or tea. And I'm like, yeah, there's nothing. My life is boring. There's no drama in it. I'm just, It's just kind of like one of those things where I've learned as an extrovert too, it's okay to calm down, and calming down once in a great while also gives me some more energy sometimes. But also when I've been like alone for too long, I do get super tired. I do get like really drained. All the introverts screaming, "How dare you at me right now?" But it's like I feed off of a lot of people's energy, and I think that's something that you realize too, right? It's like I really.
Oh, definitely. Like, you love hanging out with people. You're like, let's invite people, go here. And I'm like, Passion, I thought it was just gonna be us.
I thought we were gonna be intimate, have intimate hangout, which I don't mind. I actually prefer intimate one-on-ones with people than I do groups now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't mind like hanging out in groups. Like when we go together, it's really nice to have people because like you make me hang out with people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm totally fine with this. But like,
well, if it's clubbing and stuff, I like to go in a big group because it's just more safe. Oh yeah. Yeah. But if it's like if we're hanging out at your place and when there's another person, I'm just kind of like, I don't know how I feel about this.
What are you doing here?
Yeah.
Are you new here?
When like so for example like when not like with Joe, like like Joe, like I came into her place because that's like Alex's like sister. Yeah. Right. So that was different, and plus I was excited to meet her. Like I was like, oh my god, I really want to meet her, because all the great things. But then it's like I think it's someone I don't know that gets invited. Like because it was Jaya, I was like, oh my god, hi Jaya, Then it's someone I don't really know, and like I don't think like I don't have like a mind of who they are, or if I already don't think they're like all that, like, and when I mean all that, I mean like this person, like I've heard bad things about this person already. I probably don't really like them, So like for example, if you had your brothers over, I'd be like, oh my god, Patricia.
I wouldn't want my brothers around.
I know, but I would have been like, there's so many things that you said about him. Then like I don't feel like I could be an extrovert around this kind of environment.
my family.
Yeah, like maybe not. But like if you had like your mom, like Molly, Jaya, and like John, I'm like, oh yeah, they're cool. Like yeah. I love them. And I think so. Going back to what you were saying about how like it's very minimal of you. Really, it is to not talk, but you're there. And I feel like people need to just be okay with that because my sister is very she's the only closest introvert that I know, and so like and she's a true introvert. Like I get so annoyed because I'm like, you're fucking tired already, like what the hell? And she's kind of like, yeah, I just want to sleep right here, and I'm just kind of like, dude, like you're so annoying. Like the party just started. She's like, I know, but I was here all day and I'm just so tired. I'm just kind of like, we can never get lit because she's always like, she will only get lit for like 1 or 2 hours, and she's kind of like, I'm ready to go. And I'm like, dude. And like it's funny because this weekend we're having a little birthday thing, and so I told her, yo ass better not be like your fucking introvert self, okay? Like you, like this is all or nothing. And she's kind of like, okay, I'll try. And I was kind of like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, no. Like you, if anything, go take some freaking extrovert pills or something.
I've learned that if you go when you're needed, you'll last longer.
Oh yeah.
So like don't go there early. I'm like nowadays, like if you want me there, I'll show up like right like 2 hours, like an hour later, because I know people be late as fuck nowadays.
Yeah, girl, remember that one party you came early and you're like, Patty, where you at?
Which one?
The Davis one.
Oh my god, that was awkward. I used to be on time. I used to spend my energy on useless ass things. Nowadays, I'm like, oh, Passion, you coming? All right, I'll be there in an hour.
Or like, okay, because now we know, we're like, I'll just pick your ass up. We're going together.
Like, you right?
Because I hate having to be there and be like, she's not even here yet. She's not even here yet.
I feel like boundaries, going back to what I said earlier, can get confusing. Like, okay, when is it like bad? When is it good? And I feel like there's a good and bad to all boundaries.
Oh yeah.
But every boundary is like based off of your own personal experience. And so, like, if you want to cut somebody off, cut them off. The other person might not understand, but they don't need to understand. And if you get cut off, like, damn, it goes on. Life goes on.
Yeah, and then I think one personal story, and I'm not gonna say the name because it's like really personal. But I'm speaking it now because it's the truth, is I got cut off of one of my ex-best friends. And, well, she was like my only best friend, actually. She cut me off, and I never understood why. Like, we already apologized to each other. We said sorry and stuff like that. And then I thought things were going back to normal because she wanted things to be back to normal. But I made it clear, and I made the boundary, right, to her, saying, I don't think we can be best friends again, but we can be friends. We'll still hang out. We can still laugh and call on the phone or whatever. But to me, I believe that a best friend should always be here for me, even if she's in a relationship. So to me, I told her that, and she didn't want to accept that. And when she didn't want to accept that, but she made the effort of, okay, I will follow what you said, because if that's the boundary you need, then yeah, we'll do that. We did that. And then when I was, when I got comfortable again, we were hanging out, she created an invisible boundary without telling me, which was, she wasn't really, like, I think I understood it when I told her, let's hang out. She didn't want to. She said, like, it's not that she didn't want to. Well, okay, she didn't want to, but she said it to me as, oh, I'm busy, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm hanging out with my boyfriend and his family, blah, blah. When she did that, I got the hint and was like, okay, it's cool. And then I just stopped asking her. And then she acted weird when we had class. And because we had one class together in college. And then I was like, whoa, why is she acting weird when I said hi to her, And, like, she was being passive aggressive to me. And I was like, okay, whatever, fuck it. Like, I'm like, I'm not going to do this. Like, I'm not going to deal with this and trying to beg for you to come back is basically what it is. I was like, no, I'm not going to do this. And then I think what happened at the end of it was that the relationship just fell off, is what it was. And we never got back to each other and said, hey, like, how are, like, how are you doing? And, like, I'm so sorry that happened, blah, blah, blah. We never got to clear things. No closure or nothing, because it just fell off, slowly just disintegrated. And when I think about it now, I was like, Passion, you're fucking annoying. Like, I was probably fucking annoying. And she probably just didn't know how to tell me. And she has told me once before, and I stopped it. But then again, it's hard because when you get comfortable, you go back to that habit. And it wasn't like I was being like rude to her or whatever. It was just the fact that I wasn't thinking. I was being selfish. Like, I didn't think about the fact how she felt about me continuously talking about, like, how heartbroken I was. And so I didn't go back and ask for closure because I understood why she needed the space. I got it. And then I understood that I needed the space from her because I was feeding into her positive life and I was feeding into that toxic into her. And so I guess in some type of way, sometimes it's good, honestly, when things don't go the way how they go, because it will end up going the way they do later on in life. And sometimes when it happens, like, you can say, oh, like, fuck it, like, people are gonna leave, that's on them. But it's like, when you start thinking about yourself and you start thinking, okay, well, you're not perfect, and I'll always keep saying that, like, please, people, take accountable for your actions. Like, I'm always gonna say that, because it's like, you never know that you were the problem. And I think when I realized that, that's when and it humbles you too. I'm not gonna lie. It really humbles you, and you're just kind of like, okay, I need to take a step back and really analyze and just really think about, how can I be a good friend? And I think that's why our relationship worked out, because for me, I became a better friend towards you. Like, you were kind of like my another chance, right? To really be like, okay, I know I'm not a really good friend when I do this and this. And so, like, because I've learned my lesson so many times with my same flaws, that when I come to you, like, I always, like, double check, always reassure you, saying, like, oh, I'm so sorry if I talk about that too much. I'm like, and I think that's the communication too, right? Like, again, I'm gonna keep saying that the communication that I set with you, which is setting a boundary, saying, I'm sorry, but I'm all this, and I'm sorry if it happens, because I have good intentions, okay? Like, I swear. And then you were just kind of like, yeah, no. And then you did the same thing too. Like, you're telling me, and I was like, oh my God, we're flourishing, because it's like we both learned our lessons. Because I'm not knowing I don't know what you've been through, but I knew that when you did the same thing, you communicated the same thing to me, I knew you probably went through the same thing, and that's why you communicate that way. And so when we had our friendship, and I know we have subtle boundaries too, where it's kind of like, oh, Alex and I are actually doing stuff. So I'm like, it's good. Go ahead. I'll make plans with Justin. Like, I totally get it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're just kind of like, I don't know if I want to go. I'm like, okay. Put your introverts coming out. It's cool. I don't want to push you to doing that. But here's the thing that I never had that sight though, right? That acknowledgement, that social cues where it's kind of like, sometimes when people really say that subtle like, oh, I don't know, it's okay to take their first answer and be like, okay, it's cool, and just like walk away, because when you push them and stuff, when they actually get there, it really sucks for them, because they already knew from the start they didn't want to be there. And I'm sorry for that long story, but it really comes down to experiences and really listening, because I don't think I've never had anyone tell me and was like, Passion, if people blah 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 blah, when they do this and this, and when they say this and this and like that, people never told me and gave me like a manual and was like, this is how you do it, you know? And so it really does come from trial and error. And like I said, it's okay if people change and they become better people, and it's good to come back on a path to meeting people again, because people do become better. And which is the same, oh my god, this connects to like New Year's resolution. That's why I connected this, is that as your New Year's resolution, definitely create boundaries so that you can set in stone how you want to be treated, right? Because again, if you want to go into 2022, want to be a better person, these people need to understand that, oh, wait, Passion don't drink no more because she's trying not to drink a lot this year. I respect that. That's a boundary, right? Setting it with your family, your friends, and you're like, I'll go out, be DD, but I'm not going to drink. And they go, oh, you fucking suck. They didn't respect your boundary. If they're like, oh, I respect that, that's a boundary you need to be setting. So it goes for full circle. And I'm so sorry, I just went on like a major like rant, but it's like, that's the reason why this topic to me was so important, because I have made so many boundaries with family, and I correct them when I see them, where it's like, no, it's cool, like I don't want to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I'm gonna correct you. Don't use that word. Don't use that word for that kind of like term or something. Don't use that term for that kind of sentence or something, right? When I catch my relatives using the word gay for like
that's lame.
Yeah. So I tell them, I'm like, no, I'm like, don't say that, because I'm not being rude and trying to be, Miss Feminist or whatever, and I am a feminist, but I'm not trying to be a Karen. I'm really trying to teach you, like, it's offensive when you say that in public, you know that, right? So you need to start practicing even in your own life. Yeah.
The thing with like boundaries is it isn't like, it's something that you write and set in stone. It's like your actions, right? Mm-hmm. So like when you set your own boundary, like I don't know, for example, I want to spend less time around toxic people, right? Mm-hmm. You don't go around telling people, I want to spend less time with toxic people. You go around and you cut off people who you feel are toxic to you, mm-hmm. right? Or like, okay, I want to set a boundary with myself, to like self boundaries, right? Not just other people. Like, I want to set a boundary with myself that I need to get off my phone. I need to spend more time doing something more productive. Mm-hmm. You don't tell your phone that I want you to stop like being in my face. You go and turn off your phone.
I need you to stop holding my hand phone like all the time.
This is all your fault. It's definitely an action based thing. Like, boundaries is what you want for yourself and the action that you will take for it. And that's why when people set a boundary with you, that's why I had a hard time in the beginning, like, okay, what's a boundary? Like, what the heck? It's not something that sets you. It's like your social cue, what people call, like, your social cue. Mm-hmm. If they say no, obviously means no, but if they look uncomfortable, that's like their like, you should know enough to like set that boundary for yourself and them.
Yeah, and I think, and it's funny because a lot of people don't know how to set their own boundary for themselves, so people have to do it for them. And I just want to just kind of wrap it up together on how how should we actually let our viewers set boundaries, actually, so that you guys can end off this video with actually with some good advice and good tips, because like I said, like Patricia and I are also still learning process with all of these, but we explained some little experiences that we've actually learned from setting boundaries, and we're still working on it. So for me, I would say how you should set boundaries is just communicate it. And then especially when you have to set boundaries on the spot and you weren't prepared for it, you can easily just state it in a firm way. Just saying like, hey, like, I think what you said made me feel this. Therefore, I'm no longer gonna be coming to these hangouts, because if this is what you guys do, I'm just not gonna come. But we can hang out some other time. I just don't like it when we hang out like this and y'all being sexist or something, like sexist or racist, because like I don't hang like that, And there are some, it's just that shit like that just happens, And so that's just another example. And then and I'll put another example too, just so that you guys won't get so confused. For like, let's say for family, right? If my mom wants to talk about the birds and the bees and I don't feel comfortable with that, I would just tell her, hey mom, I don't feel comfortable talking about that. I know you're my mom, but I will come to you when I'm ready. And you don't have to worry. I have some adults or just older people who have more experiences that I actually feel comfortable going to talk about it. And if you're worried about me, I give you the permission to talk to them. I just feel uncomfortable having this conversation one-on-one because it just feels weird. And my mom, and she probably would respect it. She'd probably be like, okay, like, and I know she would ask me like, why do you feel that way? It's because mother-daughter, I don't know, it's just a weird relationship to have to talk about sex, I just feel weird. And she would just probably be like, okay, that's fine, like, as long as you allow me to talk to them about it, then she wouldn't, then she would be okay, because she'll get the information she needs in the end anyways, And so that's another example for like family members. But obviously if you don't allow them to, just say, don't worry, I'm okay. I just want to let you know that. And it's gonna be really hard for them because of course obviously they're worried, they're hurt, they're gonna want to they're really gonna want to try to test their boundaries too. People are going to test their boundaries, and I'm not saying that it's okay, but I'm just letting you know that you should be expecting if it happens, and for you to feel calm if it happens, because you already expected it from happening. So yeah, what about you?
For like setting boundaries, because it's like you're setting, like when I think of a boundary, I think about like your house and the fence, right? So like, what do you want to come across like into your fence?
Yeah. And
what do you want to shut out? And so when you set that boundary, I think the nicest way, if you want to be nice about it, is, let them know, like, you're okay with this, this, and this. And if they really respect you, like, I'm talking in the sense of, like, people who respect you. Because people who don't respect you don't need an explanation, period.
Yeah.
But those who you love and they love you back and you want to let them know, like, this makes you uncomfortable, you should expect them to hear you out, and be like, okay, no, I totally understand. Like, what else can I do? Is there an alternative? If there's no alternative, like, that's totally fine. Yeah. Because sometimes, like, you may come up with a solution that fits, in your boundaries that's different from what you propose.
Yeah.
And that's totally okay. But, again, that's, like, for people, who care about you. If they're, like, being rude or abusive or anything like that, shut them out. There's no need to explain why you set that boundary upon them. Like, they don't deserve an explanation.
Yeah. And I love how you said the house and the fence. Like, I pictured it and I was like, yep, and the lawn and the grass is definitely, and just your porch are different options of how you want to basically give them some leeway, some options of like how they can come about it, and I like that, because honestly I think it would make communicating in your relationship just so much better. Like I said again, this helps with family, friends, and your relationship, and your like personal relationship, like with your significant other. This really fits anywhere. And your workspace, definitely workspaces, because I know we want to always impress our bosses, and I've been there, so I love how you ended this off, Bishop, because I wouldn't have said it any better. And I just want to say that there is a lot of information that we did say today, and also like a lot of examples. So if you have any questions, please, 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 please do not hesitate to ask. Maybe you have maybe a scenario. You can definitely just email us personally, because we know it's personal. So you guys will definitely try to help you out in the most professional way that we can, because we know setting boundaries is a very serious thing, a very serious move to a different type of. I feel like when you start setting a boundary, you're like evolving to being your own person. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. So let me end this off with, don't forget to like and follow and comment also, because we like to hear from you all. And we can't wait to see you guys in the next episode. Bye.